Hey guys, I started my journey to building $100 million business 12 months ago. I've spent $80,000 of my own money, and things are not going well. My business is not making any money, and the bank accounts are almost empty. Now, most people only record their journey once they're already successful, but I wanted to record my journey all the way from zero, from rock bottom all the way up. I want to do that mainly so my children can see what it takes to be successful, but also for anybody else who's got a larger than life goal and doesn't know where to go, where to start, or like me, stuck at rock bottom. Today, I really wanted to talk about something interesting that I came up across yesterday. I was listening to a podcast by Peter Attia where he interviews Arthur Brooks, and they were talking about the science of happiness. And something really interesting came out of that podcast. They were talking about this 9 step death meditation that certain monks do. So I guess what they do is these monks look at 9 different stages of death and decay. So they physically look at pictures of a decaying corpse over 9 different stages. And they spend time contemplating those pictures and identifying with them in a really deep and visceral way. In other words, they say, that is me, that is me. And then they move on to the next photo of the decomposed corpse all the way through the 9 phases. And the whole point of this is to conquer their fear of death. But what was really interesting was that Arthur Brooks was saying that you could actually take the same strategy and apply it to any big fear in your life. And usually your biggest fears are surrounded or are in some way related to death. And so the real key is to find out what that fear is and then breaking it into 9 steps of decay and then doing a sort of meditation where you identify and you really reflect deeply about each stage of that failure. And through doing that, over time, you can actually conquer that fear. And I thought this was a very interesting thought, and I wanted to apply it to my own life and to my fears as an entrepreneur, because that's really the overarching fears in my life come from that part of my life is the entrepreneur and business side. So I started to think about this, and I just wanted to share with you guys my deepest fears, what I came up with, and the 9 stages that I see. And I think it's going to be useful because I'm sure a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of business people have very similar fears and very similar steps, 9 steps of decay towards that fear. So for me, my deepest fear is to be on my deathbed, dying, and realize that I had so much untapped potential and that I failed to achieve that potential. That's really my deepest fear. And as you can see, it's directly related with death. I wouldn't say I'm exactly afraid of dying. It's the afraid of having untapped potential and having not met my goals in death. So if we work backwards, you can build out sort of the 9 phases of decay. I call them stages personally, but so I'm going to go through the 9 that I see for my own life, and maybe this will help you with yours. So stage 1 for me is just failing to find a product that I can build a great business around. Stage 2 is running out of money with no real idea of what direction to go in. Okay? And that's kind of exactly where I am right now. I'm in the stage 2. My reality is stage 2. The next stage I see is slowly becoming more and more bitter about the entire process, jealous of other people's successes, and thinking that everything is rigged and against me. Stage 4 is realizing that I was just dreaming the entire time, that this isn't really possible for me, that success isn't possible for me. Stage 5 is looking around and realizing that my family and my friends, they all feel bad for me because I just didn't measure up. Stage 6 is being forced to accept that I have to go back to my 9 to 5 job and live that life day in and day out until I retire. Stage 7 for me is retiring after all those years and realize that, I wasted my life working for someone else, and then becoming more and more bitter that I didn't have what it took to meet my goals and be successful. Then stage 8 for me is telling my grandchildren the story of my life and admitting to them that I couldn't be successful, and that's unlikely that they will be successful in accomplishing great things. And stage 9 is me on my deathbed, taking my last breaths and realizing I'm dying an average man who lived an average and unremarkable life full of untapped potential and goals that went unmet. So for me, those are the 9 stages of decay all the way to, an existential death. And I haven't tried the meditation portion of it. What Arthur Brooks suggests is that you spend roughly 20 minutes every day, 2 minutes per stage, just really focusing in on picturing yourself in that stage. And if you do this 2 minutes a day per stage, so about 20 minutes a day, if you do that for about 3 weeks, he says by the end of the 3 weeks, you will not feel that fear anymore, because you will have identified with it. It will have become so familiar and so commonplace that you will not be afraid of that anymore. So I fully intend to try this, and I'll report back to you guys on how that went. But anyways, I hope that helps, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.